My name is Dr. Todd, and I interview magicians.
And I'm Chris Wheel, and I am a magician.
This
is Magician's Workshop.
Hello, magical friends. Today we have a great one because we're talking to Chris Wheel. Chris Wheel is a magician who has been amazing audiences for 15 plus years. His show is full of comedy, magic, and amazing illusions. He's been praised by critics and audiences alike, and he is sure to leave you wanting more. Welcome to the show, Chris Wheel. Yay!
Hey, thanks for having me, Dr. Todd. Dr. Todd, known as Dr. Todd.
Yeah,
just practicing. Are you still over in Tidewater?
Yeah, you've been
That's
doing
in Lexington, right? Yeah, getting his doctor in dental surgery,
Oh,
the
wow.
University of Maryland. Yeah.
You know more than just about most people I've talked to.
Yeah, I do a little bit. You're an active member of the ADA, so you're the guy who recommends the toothbrushes and Crest and all that. Got some little fellow in the Institute of Laser Dentistry.
Oh, that's all outdated.
Okay,
so you're
none
of that is
anymore.
good.
Yeah, what are you gonna do?
Yeah,
you did an interview about magic.
Yes,
somewhere. So I saw that.
I did.
That was fun.
I did. Yeah. Wow.
But a little bit, you got to know a little bit about your host too, right? It's
nice. Yeah.
Look at that. It feels special. I'll interview you next time. So
okay, sounds great. This is the deep question. Who is Chris Wheel?
All right. So I'm Chris Wheel. I've been doing magic since about 2007. So I started a little bit later. I started senior year of high school, really doing magic. Before that, my grandma went to New Orleans with some friends, or New Orleans with some friends when she was, when I was younger. I was like 4. And she went to a magic shop down there and picked up a couple little tricks and picked up the Klutz Book of Magic, which Klutz products they're still around, but they're not. I don't know if they're still as much, but the magic one I don't think is out there. But she bought that, brought it back, and had all the grandkids there. It's like, hey, we're gonna do a trick, and she'd have like the thumb tip thing, and she did like the one with there's the dollar bill with the 2 paper clips, and you pull them and they link in the air. And I was like, wow, that's great, Grandma. And she's like, well, here, this book is for you, and you can learn all the magic in it. I'm like, awesome, thanks, Grandma. I'm 4, I can't read. So that was my introduction into magic, was that book, and I still have that book. And I got another one along the way too, but that was kind of the first introduction when I was a kid. So again, like I was always interested in it. When I was in 3rd grade, we did like a talent show for our school. We did like a little magic act. So we had like the rope that turns into a silk. We had the light bulb that lights up in your mouth. My parents worked with us and made like the mirror box, where you can show it empty and then take stuff out. The head twister, we made one of those.
Oh, cool.
All out of like cardboard and wood and like those big gallon ice cream jugs, and cut a hole for your face and that. So we had like it was a tight 5, for being in 3rd grade. My sister was like, we were kind of like magician, assistant, type of thing. So that was my first official show that I did. I did at a library in our town. After the talent show, we did it one more time in the library. And so I've always been interested in it, but I never really knew resources and how to learn it. And like you go to the library and you pick out a book, and it's like half of it I can't understand for one reason or another. And then so when I was a senior in high school, I was messing around in our chorus class, and we were just talking, and my buddy's like, hey, you want to see a magic trick? I'm like, sure. So he takes out a deck of cards and does he does like the 2-card money trick, like the David Blaine 2-card money trick. And I was like, dude, I thought you were just like joking. That was pretty sick.
That's a hard trick.
I'm like, yeah. I'm like, you got more? And he's like, yeah. And he did like the 2-card transpo, and he did like a little like ambitious card. I was like, dude, that's crazy. Like, I want to learn how to do that. You actually do magic? He's like, yeah, I do. I'm like, can you teach me? And he was like, yeah. I was like, that was way easier than I thought. I thought you had to like really keep those secret. He's like, I don't know, you're cool. So he pointed me to Born to Perform Card Magic by Oz Perlman.
Yes.
And he gave me the DVD. He gave me an old deck of it might have been like Tally-Ho's or like maybe Black Tigers. I think he had like a deck of that back in the day.
Oh, those are collector's items now.
Oh yeah. And so and that's kind of where I got my start. So him and I would kind of hang out, and he would show me some stuff. You know, he was quite a bit farther ahead than I was, so he had like, you know, the invisible thread that would float stuff. He had like those little coins that have like the red and the green, and then they change colors, and it's like the old brass coins. I don't even know the name, but he had a couple things like that, and he's like, yeah, and he would do like little cuts in card magic, and that's kind of where I started. So, you know, going through high school, just learning how to, you know, do a double card turnover, and following the Oz Perlman, you know, Born to Perform Card Magic. And then I started kind of getting more into like Illusionist. He kind of pointed me toward Illusionist. And I think he even pointed me toward like Penguin and that stuff. So that was my introduction into
what's part of the Holy Trinity now is Illusionist, Penguin, and Vanishing Ink.
In 2007, and like beginning right in 2007, that's when I think Theory 11 kicked off.
Okay.
I think they did, and they had like the Lee Asher. They had like his Joker in the bag, that trick. Garcia was putting out a bunch of stuff, you know, like Chaos Card Through Window. That was all around that time I got into it. So I feel like I got into it right at the beginning of the kind of the online transition. And so that's really the introduction into how I kind of got into Magic. And I've kind of just been hooked on it ever since. So that's really the essence of how I started Magic. So again, I've always kind of like, I do music, you know, I used to be in a band. I would play like in my mom's a music teacher. My dad had like, they all went to like, you know, they were all, in the 70s, all musicians. So, you know,
nice.
I had a very heavy upbringing in like the music and the arts and like stuff like that. So I think the fact that I have 3 sisters has a lot to do with it too, because we all had to fight for like attention. So this was like a great way to get it. You know what I mean? Like magic tricks, center of attention, boom. You know, do you love me, mom? Do you love me, dad? Stuff like that. But
yeah, that's and talking to some of the other people, it seems like the thing that brings us all together is some kind of childhood trauma, like turns you into a magician.
Yeah, so like you had to take the DATs, and you know.
Yeah.
So
speaking of dentistry, so you were thinking about possibly becoming a dentist at some point. I find that fascinating.
Yeah.
How did that come about?
I had a pretty decent dental experience growing up. My dentists were cool. I thought it was an interesting job. You know, and just kind of, I think it's kind of that kind of inner like kind of motivation to try to help people in one way or another, try to improve lives. And like the dental thing, I don't know, it just seemed cool. I don't know why. Like it just seemed to be a good thing to do. It's just out of all the jobs you could have done, a dentist. I don't know.
Yeah, it's like every dentist I know tries to find something else to do.
It's weird. Yeah. So I went to University of Buffalo for their dental program. So I did the pre-dental.
Great school, by the way.
The pre-dental. Yeah. It was, so I have all my prerequisites. And then kind of halfway through college, like beginning mid of second year, I had a dental procedure done. I had a root canal done, and I was talking to my dentist, and he was like, yeah, I went to college for English. And then I was like, hold on, you don't have to be a dental major thing. Like you don't have to, I didn't know anything about how any of that works. College, you just go and you say, this is what I want to be. How do I get there? So they say, oh, pre-dental route, but they don't say you can like major in something else. So I'm like, oh, I'll major in something that might be interesting, maybe psychology, right? And so I started doing that as well. So I got all those credits. So I have, bachelor's in science ready to go. I did like some shadowing. And then I don't know. I just think I had, I just felt like I wasn't going to be able to do all the other stuff. I like had one kind of not so great grade on one of my courses, and it was just like kind of an internal thing. And so then I started doing some work, and then I ended up being a school psychologist. So again, still working with people, still helping people.
Oh yeah.
A little bit different setting, less, less mixing of molding, gels and glues and.
Yeah. That's interesting though, because you're a nationally certified school psychologist,
Sure.
right?
Yeah.
Okay. How does that change your perspective on magic?
A little bit. Really where it comes into play is with magic is it's two-sided. So like the magic helps the job of school psychologists, and school psychologist also helps the magic part of it. So, I was doing magic, so I was like, oh, psychology, right? So you kind of get ideas for like different routines and maybe get some scripting ideas from like psychology. At first, you start to like think about how could I be a psychologist and a magician? And you start coming up with like mentalism ideas and stuff. Working as a school psychologist, though, I learn a lot about different areas of like cognition, how kids learn, how kids interact, and how their social skills are, kind of how they develop. So that's helped mold my show, because I do a lot of family shows because of the area I'm in. It's a lot of family stuff and a lot of like town events and stuff. So I've kind of gotten into that. And so a lot of the psychology working in like an elementary school, middle school, high school, you kind of learn the best way to interact and how to kind of design a show that is appealing to that audience. And you don't need a school psychology degree to do this. There's a lot of really good resources out there where I've taken what I've learned, used it, and then read different books and resources that have kind of confirmed that, or at least kind of shared a similar kind of outcome that I found on my own. So, it's not necessarily proven to work, but there's a lot of it based in, just developmental psychology and just how kids learn how they interact with others. So, and then on the other way, magic helps with the job, because I'm doing a lot of work with kids who are usually working with students who have like disabilities or who are struggling either behaviorally, socially, or like with adaptive skills, like just doing day-to-day things. And the magic is a good way to kind of almost, it's like that token offering where it's like, hey, this is what I can do. I'll do like my favorite Paul Harris trick, and then you give me your best effort on this, block design subtest. You know what I mean? Like, so yeah. It's kind of like a good rapport builder, and it's worked out really well to be able to take performance stuff and magic stuff and using it in school psychology for some really difficult kids as well, because it's something I think it's kind of it's a universal thing that people can understand, kind of regardless of kind of where they are and what they do. So
yeah, I love that, because that's really what I'm about, is people that have a day job. There's something for you in this hobby, whatever your level. So when did you go pro?
It started a little bit later. So initially, a lot of the stuff I did at the beginning of magic was more creation. So I've created a bunch of products that I put out when I was kind of when I was young, or when I was going through college and when I graduated. So, I put out some stuff with Paper Crane, put out stuff with like Paper Crane used to be like kind of its own thing, and then they kind of got bought by Penguin. So a lot of that stuff transitioned into Penguin. But then I started doing some stuff for Penguin, some free stuff I have on there. And then I've done stuff with Murphy's. I've had stuff with Vanishing Ink. And so I've put out a bunch of products, and I started doing that, and kind of on the side, I was like I really like doing like restaurant work. I like doing the walk around stuff. And so kind of a lot of the creations I came out with during those times were more for those situations, those environments. So things that were easy to reset, or like natural in an environment I was performing at. And then once I moved out of college, kind of moved back home and started doing, started kind of working or going back to grad school. I started performing more because I was getting asked to, because people would kind of hear, oh, he does magic now. Can you do my kid's party? You know what I mean? Or, oh, do you want to do magic at the library? And I'm like, oh yeah, sure. And so then once I kind of moved back and I had to start doing those family shows, I had to evolve the show from my original audience, which was, 2 a.m. freshman coming off the junk bus, magic, to like younger kid. Well, it's kind of very similar, in a way, but younger kid, it's kind of similar. But just trying to change it. And like, I know you kind of talked about this a little bit you were telling a little bit about your show, and your show is lots of kind of self-working stuff. You're doing stuff for older people who might not remember cards. Same thing. You know what I mean? So I had to take I was doing a lot of card stuff. And I was like, I can't really do card stuff because kid's not going to be able to do this. Or I can't really do a reading thing. Kid can't read this. Or how do I make this directions easy to follow? You know what I mean? So it's had to evolve a lot from where I was. And I still love doing like the walk around, the corporate stuff, the close up. But I do a lot of the family show stage or bigger stuff. And that's where I'm most comfortable right now because I've had to do so much of it.
Yeah.
And I was going to changed a lot though.
Yeah. What's your, I was going to ask what your optimum size audience. So you're kind of more of you like to do more family style.
Yeah. So I kind of consider it a family show, but it's not necessarily like the size. And that's not like a family size show. It's more like the demographic. So, considering a family, you're going to have kids who are younger, you're going to have teenagers, you might have 20s, you might have, older people. And so when I developed my show, or when I developed magic for my show, first rule for me is I have to like it, right? So like when I started doing kids magic, you see a lot of these magicians doing kids magic, and they're doing like big flowers and hippity hop rabbits, and they're doing like just stuff I don't find appealing, because again, I started doing close-up card walk around, like that kind of stuff, sleight of hand, and doing like real visual stuff. And I kind of didn't want to do like the weird props. I didn't want to do like the really, I don't know, some of it's kind of corny. Some people can make it really good. But it wasn't for me. So like, for example, if the tricks I have to do, I have to like, right? I think that's a big important thing for everyone. It's like, because I've done tricks, like I've done some like real popular magic. People like, oh, this is a killer, put it in your show. Like the 5-card box, like Bill Abbott stuff. 5-card box, killer routine. You have a box, you have 5 cards, you put some away, you put one away, you sell 5 cards, you turn the box and it says like something different, and then it changes, like the words on the box change, the cards, you end up with like 15 cards, and then the cards vanish. Fantastic trick. And I would do it in my show when I started off, because again, it's like, you got to do this trick, dude. This is awesome. Like, it's such a good killer. Like, everyone loves it. And I do it, but it just doesn't feel quite right. And that could just be because of me as a performer, or because like the thing about Bill Abbott tricks too, like Bill Abbott products. A lot of times he sells you like a full-fledged thing, like everything's perfect, everything's scripted and ready to go, which makes it good for someone who's like, oh, I need to get something for this event or something to put in. And he's fantastic products. But for me, I always feel like a little disingenuous when I'm doing something like that. So that's kind of the first rule, is like, I have to like doing it. It's something I have to like. So I'm not doing a lot of like, I'm not doing like hippie dapper rabbits. I don't have like fake flowers. I don't like have animals. I don't want to feed animals. I don't want to pay for animals. Yeah. Like, I don't, I was renting for a long time.
Yeah.
And I like animals. I think they're cool. I'm like, oh, that's sweet. I wish I could have a rabbit, but I also don't want to take care of one. I have 2 kids, and they're like, if I could produce one of them, that might be cool.
Want to plug Bill Abbott real quick. Go to Bill Abbott's website.
Yes.
Also, his live act on his Penguin Magic Live. Bill Abbott is everything on there's gold. So this is a plug for Bill Abbott.
I like his kind of, when he talks about on that Penguin Live lecture, he talks a little bit about, it's not like explicitly stated like this is my theory on stuff, but I feel like when he's doing stuff, he has like a very specific kind of like guidelines that he follows. Like he's using a lot of like really just like straight up like working, like no fail, like, or very minimal failure. Like he's not using a lot of like electronics. He's not using a lot of things that like, everything's very fail safe in a way. Things can always go wrong, but his stuff is very solid.
And you're gonna, if nothing else, I'd say get that for this thing called a center tear. it's worth learning the center tear. Do you do a lot of mentalism?
I do little bits of it. For me, I feel like because my character that I have, it's a little hard for me to get serious mentalism. So I'm still working on like how to keep it like, because it's kind of like, it's almost like a deflection. Like when I get uncomfortable, like when I'm sitting here, I'm like, think of something, and then I'll like have like a fart sound effect or something. You know what I mean? Like I can't stay so serious about it. And I feel like mentalism, in my head, I feel like it's more serious to be taken seriously, because I don't want to do something and make it like, oh, it's like a tricky joke, but I am starting to do more of that, and I'm still trying to, and that comes down to like a lot of scripting and a lot of pre-planning to know what direction I want to go in until it feels right. But I do a little bit of mentalism, like you said, like Bill Abbott's center tear. I was on a center tear kick for a hot minute. Bill has a fantastic center tear. And there's a couple other really good center tears out there, but Bill's is a great place to start, and he has a lot of really good, a lot of good positives about his. And so, like you said, like that Penguin Magic is really nice. He has a lot of really good stuff in there. Like his he has his invisible deck he talks about in there, which is like clutch, like his method for his invisible deck stuff.
Yeah. So what's your go-to strolling trick?
So what I'll do is, and this is, again, everything's built on the shoulders of other people. I don't have a lot of really necessarily individualized thoughts on anything. I think it's just a kind of a mix and an amalgamation or amalgamation.
I only know that because that's a type of filling.
Yeah. Or a conglomerate or a cornucopia or, any of those, right?
Yeah.
Of ideas. But one of them that I really like is something, I might be misattributing exactly the quote, but it's something that Harrison Greenbaum said, who's a great performer. He's hilarious. He's funny. And his magic is it's cool to watch him, because after he said this, I'm like, yeah, I see what you're talking about. But what he'll like to do is he likes to, and again, I might be misquoting this, so this is how I interpreted it, is like when you're coming up with magic, you want to have the idea of what you want for magic and then figure out how to do it. You know what I mean? Like you want to have the story, you want to have like the idea and the plot and like what you want the audience to understand and experience, and then you figure out ways to do it. Okay. And so I feel like if you take that approach, instead of like going online and saying, oh, look, there's a new card gimmick, like that'd be so cool, and you put it in your show, it feels more of a completed routine, and it feels more complete when you are you have an idea and you say, oh, how would I do this? What would be a good way to do this is with that gimmick. You know what I mean? Like, so it's more than just the gimmick. It's more than just something that someone gives to you. It's an idea that you've kind of had that's your own, that will fit your personality better, and then you find ways to do it. So right now, one of the tricks I really like doing is a combination. There's actually two. It's a combination of Black Door, which is an envelope. It's a gimmick envelope that you can force an outcome, right? It's a combination of that and a combination of so it's a combination of Black Door, which is a switch envelope, and then a combination of a trick called Rings by Ben Williams, which is super cool. And what that is, he presents it as a playing card, and you tear the playing card and you make a ring, and then you make a little ring, and then you have them sign it, and you put it in their hand, and then when they open it, they're linked. So, So the way I do this, which I really like, is I have the two envelopes, and one of them is $100 bill, and the other one is something it's actually worth more. It's a coupon for one free magic trick by Chris Wheel. And I show it, So I have $100, one worth priceless coupon for a free magic trick. Which one do you want to win? I want you to have the best outcome here, right? And they'll say, depending on who, $100. And it's like, you don't want the $100. And they'll be like, yeah, I do. I'm like, okay, well, I kind of wanted more. You know what I mean? It's a magician. Like, have you ever seen a magician with $100 before? Yeah, yeah. I got to eat after this. But I'll say, you know what? This is what we'll do though. We'll play a game. I'll give you a chance to win the 100, but you're gonna actually win the better prize. I guarantee it. Guarantee it. You're gonna win the coupon, no matter how hard you try. So then I do like a little thing. It's like I'm gonna mix them up. I'm not gonna. I'm not trying to be. And I just have the 2 cards. I'm like, I'm not trying to really confuse you. And I do a couple like little turn things that are a little weird. Like I'm not gonna do any sleight of hand. I'm just turning them. You know what I mean? I'm gonna be honest with you, like a politician. Okay. Well, like a local politician, like a town clerk or something, like nothing, nothing too bad. And I say, which one do you want? Do you want the one in my right or the one in your left? And they'll be like, oh yeah, are you sure? And they say, you pick this one. You want this? Ha ha, you fool! He just fell for one of the classic blunders. The most well-known being never going to land war in Asia. Then you do that whole thing or whatever, and then you like switch them. You want this one, and everyone's like, he switched them. And say, oh, whatever. Which one do you want? You're gonna get, and you get the coupon. So they get the coupon, and then after that, I'll say, and that's for a free trick. And luckily for you, it doesn't expire for another 5, 4, 3, 2. And you get it back. And then I go into rings, and so for me, it's just a fun routine, because it has like that kind of that weird game, and then they end up with kind of the winning or the losing prize. It depends how old you are too. Like I've noticed older people want the coupon. Either because they feel bad for me for losing $100 and they want to be nice, or because they have $100, they don't care. You know what I mean? Like, oh, I kind of want the free coupon. Yeah, that's cool. You know what I mean? Like, and so then I do that, and it kind of connects things together. It has a reason for that. It's like a business card that says free coupon. It has like my logo on it.
Good idea.
So it's an actual business card, and then you create the rings trick with that. So then they have their name on it. You give it to them. They remember you could barely read it because it's all torn up, but they know because you tear it. You design it. So when you tear it like under the Chris wheel. You know what I mean? And you so that's a really fun one. I've been getting a lot of good mileage out of. I really like the digital force bag. Are you familiar with digital force bag? It's a phone app, and the idea behind it is you have your phone and you have like a bunch of notes, right? And one of them is I have a list of gift ideas. I have one that's movies. I have magic ideas, ideas that I had when I had magic, and I had one that involves celebrities. And I do like the celebrity thing. So you pick a number, you say 15, you go 15. Oh, it's Dwayne Johnson, right? Right. Dwayne Johnson. Okay. And you're not going to believe it, but behind my phone, right, I have a little envelope, right? And inside is a picture of Dwayne Johnson as a baby, right?
Yeah.
Hold on. Sorry. Wrong one. That was, what? Get that
looks like a baby.
Here.
From here.
Wrong baby. There you go. That's
okay.
Dwayne Johnson as a baby. Sorry. It's stuck. And I have it on the table, so I have a bunch of other ones in here that fall out. And they fall out, and I have a bunch of ones. And I say, here's the thing. Before you go and you call the police, you tell them I have pictures of little kids hiding under my phone here. It really has nothing to do with the little kids. It has nothing to do with the little kids. It's a magic trick. It actually has more to do with what they're wearing. I realize it doesn't sound much better. Pause. Anyway, I want to meet your madre. No, but honestly, it has more to do with what they're wearing. So, example, here is a little baby who's kind of naked, right? And here's not a lot of clothes on, right? And here's a picture with Dwayne Johnson with not a lot of clothes on. Look at that, right?
Good. That's
we
a
got
good reveal.
Dwayne Johnson, Johnson and Johnson. Cool, right? Here's one of little baby in a suit, and we know Dwayne Johnson wears suits. You know what I mean? So we got Dwayne Johnson's suit, and yeah, I don't have enough money even to pay my best buddy DJ. Sorry, that's what we call him, DJ friends. To put on a pink dress. But luckily, 21st Century Fox did when they put him in the Tooth Fairy. Look at that, and that's Dwayne Johnson, number 16. So that's like a wicked quick, just a goofy.
That's good.
Like, and it has like a really different feel than some of the other like. Oh, it's a baby. It has like the clothing thing. So it has like, I feel like it gets that little extra
No, that's a
Pink Dress
good.
Kicker, which is fun because people who I do the trick for who know that movie, they have like a moment to be like, yo, I know this movie, I know what's happening, I know what's coming, and they see it and they kind of get a little like they get a little
Yeah, that's a really.
star moment where they like can like shine a little bit, which is fun. So I like
That's a
doing
great
those
rendition.
two. I kind of like having little things like that, like, and then from that I go into like a watch thing. So I usually like to kind of put them into groups of 2 tricks, like black door, rings, digital force bag, a watch prediction number like calculator, toxic type of thing. I do one with the nesting wallets. So I do nesting wallets where you have a coin, you put it in your pocket, or it vanishes, then you go and take the wallet out of your pocket. And so I take the coin, I put it in, they tap it. Oh, it's gone. You know where it goes? You don't know where it goes? Have you ever been to Europe before? Do you have a passport? We're going. No, just kidding. No, but I go into my pocket, I take out my wallet, and I say, this is actually an anti-pickpocket wallet. I got it from QVC. I was going to take a trip to Blackpool, bunch of thieves, if you ever never heard of Blackpool. And so I bought this because there's a lot of problems with pickpockets over there. A lot of problems with pickpockets over there. And so this is the wallet. And when you open it, inside one wallet is another wallet. And inside that wallet is another wallet. And inside that one is no, it's not another wallet. It's a little red piece of fabric. And you take out a little piece of fabric and you open it and the coin's in there, right? Very traditional nesting wallets. I put it all back, put it away, say, oh, great. And I do another trick. I can do like a couple others. And then I end with an ambitious card. And the ambitious card, the card goes in. I say, take the marker and tap on it. Boom, boom, boom. And I say, look, it's gone. You know where it goes? Ever been to Europe? No? Do you have your passport? We're going. No, I'm just kidding. Here, let me show you. I have one of these. Have you seen one of these before? It's called an anti-pickpocket wallet. You know what? You look like you've heard this before. You seen one of these? But I got it because I was going to Blackpool full of thieves. And inside it is a little wallet. So if they pickpocket, I do the same exact thing. And inside is a little red playing card. That's right. And you take out just the playing card, fold it up. You know what I mean? So it's like a repeat. It's a callback. So I kind of like that when I can combine 2 tricks into one. That's just something I've been doing lately. Just to have like a little quick 5-second thing that flows, 2 tricks, boom, boom. Maybe a third in between, but I kind of like to try to tie them together if I can, because it gives more justification. And the way that I come up with these is I just perform and I find things that kind of fit. And again, I'm trying to do tricks that I like with some modicum of original thought to it, like combining the rings and the business card and that. Like, I feel like that's original enough. It's 2 tricks, but it kind of gives that feel, like, oh, I want to give out a business card. What's a cool way to do that? I kind of always like the blank night thing, where it's like, oh, here's an envelope with $100 bill and with my, like John Archer with a fake dollar bill or, a memento or whatever. So, again, all these ideas that you take from other people and you try to fit it to be your personality.
Are you in Connecticut? Is that where you are?
No, I'm in New York.
New York. Okay, like New York City or New York State?
New York, like central New York.
Central, okay.
Not upstate, central.
My relatives are in Syracuse.
We have a great group of guys over here, too. It's small, but it's really good. We got some really good guys in this area. Yeah, I know some cities have, like, magic shows at things, and people, you know what I mean? Like, they have, like, more production stuff. Some places, like, host, like, a show every night. Like, we don't have that. Our magic scene is, like 5 guys, like, not the burgers.
Oh, I was going to say, like,
five fellows. We've got 5 fellows who do magic.
5 lovely fellows at Blackpool.
Yep. Not those guys. No, I've never been to Blackpool. I just say that. That's a magician joke that no one gets when I do that for laymen. People are like, what? Blackpool? Like, what's
I
the
love
deal with Blackpool?
That. That was a hell of an Easter egg.
So, yeah, right? Lay people, But if you're doing magic for, like, a magician, you don't know he's a magician, and they're like, oh, they'll get it. But yeah, it's so a lot of the stuff we do around here, it's like smaller stuff. I do a lot of like family stuff. I do a lot of like stuff with like towns, like towns are doing festivals or fairs or like yearly events. I do a lot of campgrounds too in the summer. Like the summers get super busy with like different schools and camp. Because again, like I'm in the school system, so like I get Googled. They'll say, "Oh, magician." They see me, they're like, "Oh, he works in a school. Like he's already got his fingerprints done. He can't be that big of a felon." um, so that's, I think that helps a little. But we have that. We have a couple. We do try to put on a few like public things with some other guys. Once in a while, but it's pretty chill out here. We've got some good stuff out here though, magician wise, for the area that we have. We have a few real tight guys that'll meet up every like month or two. But yeah, it's not like people are doing like theaters. Like I'm not going out and like people aren't like calling me for like theaters, and people aren't calling for like stuff like that. I get a lot of calls for like the like more like public, like more like community type of things. I feel like that's a lot of what I get called for, which is great. I love, again, I feel comfortable doing that because I've been doing it for years. So, but no, it's all right. It's not bad if you know where to look and who to talk to. So, but it's nothing quite like Buffalo, like the Buffalo magic scene. Do you know anything about that?
No, is it like Chicago where it's just absolutely like insane? Like,
surprisingly, I think it's starting to dwindle a little bit. I might be wrong.
Oh, that makes me sad.
But I know they used to have like you've heard of 4F. Have you ever heard of 4F?
Like the tractors?
That's
like
4-H, my guy.
4-H club. Oh,
4-H
4F?
club. No, that's not. So 4F it's like a convention. It's I always mess it up, but it stands for the Fechter's Finger Flicking Frolic. I had nothing to do with naming it.
Wow.
But it's named after a guy named Eddie Fechter, who used to be a magician in Buffalo at was the Forks Hotel at the time. And it was almost like, from what I've heard, comparisons to almost like the Magic Castle, but in like Buffalo. And so they would have, like, he would do magic. Everyone would come from all over to see him. Other magicians would come in and do magic. Like, if you're a magician, you would do magic at the Forks Hotel. And then they ended up putting together the Fechter's convention, the 4F convention. And it's an invite only. It's in Buffalo. It used to be in Batavia, New York, which is a little bit to the east, like half an hour. But now it's in Buffalo. And it's invite only. They've had members there, like they've had like the MVP awards. They've had like Paul Daniels, Steve Beam, Jim Krenz, Leonard Green, Aldo Colombini, Juan Tamariz, David Williamson, Gary Kurtz, like all these guys.
Yeah, that's crazy.
Danny DeOrtiz, Steve Beam, like I think I said Steve Beam twice because he's awesome. But they have the thing we would always say is, like, if something happened at the the where it used to be, like, if the building collapsed, like, Magic would be set back like 20 years. You know what I mean? Like, it's like everyone is there. You've got like just look at like the webpage, and they do like a really nice write up. Like, it's like almost a review of the year.
Wow.
And they have, so like, let's see, I'll just click one random one here. So Batavia, blah, blah, blah. They talk about who was there. So like they have an opening gala. So Mir Yedid was there. And then they have like Bernardo Sedlek there. Just all these top guys there. Hort Wu, Henry Evans, David Regal.
Wow.
All these dudes in one place. And this is, in Buffalo. Right now
That's
out
huge.
there, they have also a Buffalo meetup that happens in October's. Like, they have like Garrett Thomas lives out there. They have who else lives out there? Roger Nico, who he just passed away, so R.I.P. He was like with Phoenix playing cards and those guys.
Okay, yeah.
So
yeah.
he was there for a while. He moved to England now, but like he was there. You've got like I'm just blanking. You have like Vic Tribuco, he's out there. Like a lot of really good group out there that meet up. And so Buffalo is like really tight with, like, they have some
Crazy.
good stuff. Like 4F is crazy. Like, you've got everyone anyone who's like anyone has been there. You know what I mean? Like Howard Hamburg is there all the time. Jeff Williams, who's really great. These are name dropping, but it's like this is like it's weird. It's a weird place. I wouldn't have thought it'd been so magical. In the East Coast.
It's a strange
very
place,
weird.
but it's surprisingly populated for being in technically kind of in the middle of nowhere, and
kind of
you have lake
it's
effect snow. You can one afternoon you can have 5 feet of snow, and I don't understand why people live there. I don't know how Central New Yorkers do it. God bless you.
Yeah,
you probably have snow on the ground right now.
We got hammered this year. We've got like 4 feet out there still, and it hasn't snowed in like, I don't know, 2 weeks, but it's like it's been 40 degrees. We still have 4 feet.
Unbelievable.
It's all ice. It's all crazy. It's awful. This winter was like the one I'm like done with. And I just started golfing last summer. So now I'm like, when is it going to be?
You just have to paint your balls black and just go for it.
And just go for it. Yeah. After get snowshoes. And
I was thinking about how technology is getting so advanced that people are things that used to be really you would be doing something without electronics, and people are just going to go, it's on his phone or something. Do you think that's going to be a problem?
Yeah, you already get that. You know what I mean? You already get kids guessing that, people thinking that, even if you're not using technology, you can almost get that. I don't know. I think, magicians are it's not something that they're discrediting or just, they're not thinking about. I think it's something that's always constantly thought about. And I know a lot of electronics that have come out recently, they've been doing a pretty good job making them seem very unelectronic. You're very and I think it comes it's kind of I think it has a lot to do with how you perform it, how you use it, and kind of your attitude working with those things too. I like using technology in my show because I think it's cool, and it kind of depending on the product, it's relatively, it works relatively well. There's some products where if it's ever messed up, it's like all my fault. You know what I mean? Because there's still technology. You have to set stuff up the right way, or but there's also a lot of technology that's not, you can't count on it. You work with kids and stuff?
I do. I work with kids, adults, kids, everybody, and it's something about being able to pull a trick. And I do the I think Slidini did the stuff over the head.
Yeah.
So when you're next to a dental chair, you don't have to go over the head. You just drop it.
Yeah.
And you're right next to him. So you say, it's here, it's gone, it's back, and I just drop it out of my hands.
And the assistant picks it all up, and it's all
the patient always moves their head and does something. They're always or I move in and haha, and I just drop it, and it's literally the perfect trick, and I do it with a paper towel. It's great.
You know that trick? It's the tweezer trick with the coins.
No, tell me more. I have tweezers, a lot of them.
It is it's called Chinese Tweezers by Mario Lopez.
Oh, Mario Lopez. Yep.
So the tweezer trick is you show these tweezers. The way he does it is he shows tweezers, and he has a little Chinese coin, and he sticks the tweezers through the hole. And when he pulls it out, he pulls a coin out, like a whole coin right at the tip. You can be doing that in mouths now. I also like Gypsy Balloon.
Oh, I've heard of Gypsy Balloon. Never done it, but I've seen it.
That's one of my favorite versions of the Gypsy thread too, is Gypsy Balloon, because it's kind of tying in that visual. It makes a lot of sense.
Yeah.
Metaphorically, there's a lot of wiggle room for what you want to talk about. Even just pop culture wise, you know what I mean? Get yourself a red balloon on a string. You got yourself some good It references. Yeah. There's just so much you can do with it. And again, you take the string, you tear the string off, you put it on, boop. It's it's one of the best versions for stage.
Yeah, that makes sense.
It's so good. And then after that, I'll follow it up with There's a trick. It was I think Matt Johnson released it with Penguin. I think it had a really simple name. It's called Balloon. Matt Johnson. It's it's Mark Jenst, presented by Matthew Johnson. And what that is you take a dollar bill, you sign it, you take it, and you blow up a balloon, right? You tie the balloon, you take the bill, you pop it in the balloon, and they hear it, and then they pop it, and it's inside the balloon. You know what I mean? So I do that, and I think this was a Spidey idea. You know Spidey. He's
he's
mentalist. I think he had something where he does it with a confabulation at the end.
Oh wow!
You can have the balloon, and you could do gypsy balloon, and then you can shake it, and there's something inside. You say, "Here, pop it, boom," and you just have the whole show is there. You know, they read off the whole show what happened. You know what I mean?
That's cool.
Super good. I used to do that a little bit more, and I still will, depending on the time of year. And kind of how I'm feeling. Time of year, because balloons don't like to hold up in the winter very well with but I'll do that and I usually do it with a poem or like some kind of a rhyme thing to it. It's again, it's like
That's
that
awesome.
thing where it's like you do a trick and you just find the things that flow, or you have like an idea, like I want to do a confabulation. Okay, well, how do I get there? I don't know. You know what I mean? Or like you try to pick out things from your show, like there's a great trick. It's the lemon. It's the lemon, and inside of it is an egg. Inside of the egg is a walnut.
Yep,
John Shyrock.
John Shyrock. Such a good. I do that. That's my one I do before Scott Alexander's Nailed It. Because after Nailed It, you'd go home. There's no. I can't top Nailed It. Did you know Nailed It? It's Russian roulette.
I did a show for Cornell University once. So some Ivy League smart people, for like the staff, and I kind of closed with that. Fun,
like spoon bending. We had Steve asked on our Facebook page. He wanted some advice on bending forks and spoons, and I looked into it, and I found there's a metal bending from the World's Greatest Magic that you can get on Penguin.
Yeah,
and so far that's probably the best spoon bending. Maybe 13 steps.
Sure.
But what do you think?
That's an interesting question, though. So I used to do I do once in a while, because I think the spoon bending, metal bending thing is like super cool, and it's also like one of those tricks that it's like it could almost be like an impromptu thing, depending. I used to do it much more when I was in college. And you might need to cut this part out for legal reasons, but when you go to like the food court, or whatever at college, they have the forks, and it's just, there's some weird ones now. There's some weird twists in some of them. Yeah, I got really into metal bending for a while. I got really into different kind of tricks like that. So World's Greatest Magic has a really nice kind of mix of metal bending, and what they offer is like not just. It's not like it's not like a one specific kind of metal bend. It's like a lot of different kinds. So you're talking about like bending like big like penny nails or whatever they're called, and you're talking about like bending forks. You're talking about spoons. Talking about like different kind of applications for it as well. So that's like a really cool one to have, and I actually have that. That's one of the DVDs I have.
Cool.
I was just looking through. I was just cleaning out all my magic stuff. This behind me is my magic closet. This is my magic room I had to build.
That's your magic closet. That's where we keep the secrets.
No, actually, I'm not gonna open it, because I just push that. You know how you just push everything to the side.
Yep.
If I showed you like over here and here, and down here, we framed this. Okay.
Yeah. Same.
But I've got like a Cricut cutting machine over here. I've got the 3D printer covered with Cricut cutting stuff.
Nice.
But in here, I actually have it's a closet, but it's also a work table. So I have a whole table station built in here where I have like all the supplies and all the stuff and all the outlets I need for different things. And so I can work in there and make all the gimmicks. So it has the lighting, it's got like all the glues and tools and everything. And then on the other side is like where I put stuff for like performance stuff. So like I have boxes of like just stuff shoved into a box with no order. Like thumb tips and sponge balls with like Chinese coins and like who knows what else.
It's right. Mine's right in there.
It's right there. And then I have that. So I was just cleaning out, and I have a big stack of like, it's like one of those old CD binders, back when you used CD binders, and it has that in there. So I do have that one. That was a good one. That has a lot of different stuff on it. For me, I did a lot more of the fork bending. And I think a fork bending is nice because, again, like forks, everyone knows what a fork is. Everyone's used to forks, so they're very familiar with how they work and kind of the durability of it. So even if they can bend one, the way that you're bending it is like, with the kind of the subterfuge and like the sleight of hand and the different variations, and also some of the more impossible methods, like doing the internal twists and like
I
the
love
neck.
those. So cool.
That stuff, that's just as crazy. Like, you just don't think of like that ever. Like, people understand, like, how do I twist a spoon? No one's thinking how you're gonna twist a spoon. So like when you do something like that, it's really cool. So there's that. The world's greatest magic. A really good one is the psychokinetic silverware. Let me see if that's what it's called. Psychokinetic. Yeah, so that's Jerry and Banachek. That's like OG. That's OG. Yeah. I think he had a book out about it, Psychokinetic Silverware book. And then they had the DVD, and that was really good because that goes into a lot of cool things like the twist, talking about like how to shake it so it breaks. Like, so you shake it and then it bends and it falls off, like the top tine of it. And he talks about a couple other things. So that's a really good resource because he breaks it down very well. The other one is the Liquid Metal by Morgan Strebler, and I think he has a Liquid Metal 2 also. Yeah, so Illusionist has the Liquid Metal 2. It's like the sequel, so it's beyond Liquid Metal 1. So he talks about a little more finesse and some different... I don't know if that's the one that teaches you how to like twist the tines too.
Oh, wow.
But you take it, you go like this, shake it, one tine bends, then you pull up your sleeve, you shake it, all of them are like this,
Oh, that's crazy.
So Psychokinetic Silverware. And then there's one more. I can't even remember what it was. If I do, I'll get back to you on it. But what we'll do is, if I figure it out, we'll just put the name of it right up here.
Yep, and it's right there right now if you find it.
It's right here when I find it, by the time this comes out. But that's a really nice, it's just a single bend, but I've seen other people do it because it's so good. You just have like the fork like this, it's sticking out. I don't have any forks out here right now, but it's like just the fork like this, and you just go like this and it bends, and then you show it, and then you do it and it bends more, and you show it and it bends more, you show it. It's just super. It looks super good, and I'll try to figure out what it's called. But that was another one that I like to do with the metal bending. So those are like the kind of the Liquid Metal 1 and 2, the Psychokinetic Silverware, like your base. Like if you want to know how to bend spoons and bend metal like that, that's where you start. That will give you more than enough to like just totally screw up a whole like silverware set.
Yeah, you go to Bed Bath and Beyond, which I don't even know if it exists anymore, and just get all the 20-cent ones.
Yeah, and it also, for people who, maybe don't think about performing, or people who aren't like doing a lot of because when you get into performing, you start to see like justification for things. And you start thinking less about how and more about why. And so I had a conversation with Paul Draper about metal bending once, and I won a contest, and I got to talk with Paul for like an hour. And
That's
he
cool.
was talking about that, and he does a lot of metal bending. That's a big part of what he does. I think even still, I think he was just on like ESPN and did some, but he was kind of talking about like the presentational part, like, all right, we're gonna do something with these forks. Hold on, let me just take this off. You know what I mean? I just don't want to have these interfere or anything. You know what I mean? Okay. Taking things off, trying to make it seem like if you really could bend metal, what would that kind of look like? Would it be like very like finesse? Would it? Why are you bending metal? Like, why are you at Tommy's birthday bending forks? Why aren't you working for the Department of Defense with their PSYOPs program or something? You know what I mean? Like, why aren't you like doing something a little more productive than like messing up grandma's silverware? The Oneida set. Shout out to Central New York. But you know what I mean? Like, so that's a lot about magic too, is thinking about like why, thinking about like the reasons behind what you're doing as opposed to just what you're doing. Like, yeah, you're bending metal, but like, why are you bending metal? Or what's so special about why you bend metal versus maybe another magician who bends metal or another mentalist? Like, so like just thinking about that. And it's not something you necessarily need, but I think it just adds an extra level of thought and purpose to what you're doing, as opposed to, you know what I mean? Like, it kind of lets you express yourself too, express yourself into that persona, instead of just like copying a trick and doing the same. Like, one great one great example is the fiber optics, right? You're probably familiar with Richard Sanders fiber optics. It's the professor's nightmare routine, basically. So you have the ropes, you have 3 ropes, they turn into the same size. Mm-hmm. Then you have the 2, and you change it into 1. Then you pull the ends off, put them out. It's one of the best like DVDs, resources for like that trick, like a rope routine, fiber optics. But it's funny because you'll see a lot of people who do those routines. I do a fiber optic based routine as well. And when you see someone do it, they'll do it and they'll pull it off, and it's funny. You could watch the DVD right next to them, and they'll have the same like laughs. You know what I mean? Like the same time when you laugh, the same like kind of motions. You know what I mean? Like it's very like wow. It's not a representation of who they are sometimes. Now I'm talking about like I'm sure you're talking to magicians who are far above where I am performance wise, and I know there's performers that are far beyond me, and I'll never get to that level, probably just due to the, you talk to, I know.
Well, they've been doing it since they're 4. Right. So, I mean, they got a head start.
Right. For real. But some of these guys, they like, perfect example, like Garrett Thomas. If you can ever talk with him, either on a podcast or in person, every time I talk to Garrett Thomas, my first thought is, like, I guess I'm quitting magic now, because I've never put as much thought into anything than he has on how to just take a ring off. He probably has more thought about how to just take a ring off. That might be an exaggeration, but like anything he thinks about, he's thinking about it to a degree that I've never thought I think of anything in my life. Do you know what I mean? And I just say, like, what am I doing? Why am I doing this when there's people like him, or people like Eric Mead, or people like Jason Ladany, who is practicing like 6 hours a day? You know what I mean? Like, real masters of what they're doing, like really thinking about these things and really like trying to understand. So like I'm just kind of almost regurgitating things that I've seen and talked to other people about. But I think putting even a percentage of that into your own magic, you're going to see a lot of good come out of that. A lot of changes in what you do that will make your show feel more like you. People are like, I want a character. What is my character? And I know you've talked to some fantastic character magicians. You know what I mean?
Oh yeah.
You've talked to the Lucy Darling character. You know what I mean? Like,
she's on a different level. I mean, she is just absolutely
well.
insane.
That's like those people that I talked about, like Jason, Garrett. They are like Jason Ladany. Do you know Jason Ladany?
Name's familiar, but I haven't met.
So he does a lot of stuff on like TikTok, YouTube right now, where he's like, he does a lot of card mechanic stuff, like poker stuff. Yeah. So he'll be like, he'll be reading comments and be like, I want you to take the cards, give them a table, shuffle, and then deal yourself 4 4s and 2 aces. in alternating red, black color. And he's like, well, looks like we got someone new to the channel here. Someone who wants to lose $50. They'll bet you $50 to do it. Someone's going to lose it. And he's like very like, condescending, a little cocky.
Mm-hmm.
But that's, again, that's kind of his character too. But he takes the same, kind of the same mindset for his magic as he does for other things he does. He's a fantastic musician. He is, he toured playing piano. He plays guitar like no one's business, but he applies. I think he said something like that. Like once you kind of know how to practice and you know how to get good at it, because I think, he did a lot of piano and a lot of guitar, but once you know how to practice and how to learn and how to pick things up like that, you can apply that to other things that you do. Like you being, a dentist, you're very good at that, and you've had to learn how to do all these things. So when you started doing magic, you're applying the same techniques to practice from one to the other, repetition, consistency, learning correctly the first time. And so I think those things tie in. But again, I don't even know where we are with this conversation anymore. We're just going.
We're just spitballing at this point.
But I think trying to think about like the why as opposed to the how. Don't think about the method. Think about why you're doing this. Don't think about, I want to do this trick in my show. Think about, what do I want to present and what story do I want to tell? And I'm not talking about a story like, when I was young, I found my grandfather's last story. I'm just saying, like, what do you want to present? I wanted to do a card throwing thing. I want to throw cards in my show. You know what I mean? So what do I want to do? What's the process for that? And you could put together a whole bunch of different things. I want to produce a Mr. Potato Head. Okay, well, what else can I do with a potato head? Well, maybe I can, have it fix itself. You know what I mean? Like,
it's the gypsy thread confabulation all over again.
You know what I mean? It's just tying things and saying, I want to get from here to here. What can I do along the way? And I think it's a fun journey. And so for like anyone who's getting into it, I guess that like the tip I would be is like to figure out what story you want to tell, what you want your audience to think and feel, what you want to feel, and just try to go from there. Script everything is important. Write things down, because if you script things, you'll find places in your show to fill in the blanks, or that will tie things together when you write it out. It's a lot different than going up there and saying, I have an idea of a trick, like earlier, like taking the apple out of the bag, adding the apple to the bag and stuff. Like that was a process of scripting. Like I wanted to do this for a show. I wanted to script it. That just came out of that. You know what I mean? It wasn't anything. I was like, hey, that's a light bulb. It was just, hey, okay, I'll take out another bag. That's kind of cool. Oh, and it works, so it's more about the journey of how to get there and what to present to your audience and stuff. So
speaking of presenting to your audience, where can people find you? Tell us your social media account.
Sure. So you can find me at Chris Wheel or Wheel Magic. Now here's the thing, you have to spell it Wheel, like wheels on the bus. The reason being my name, Christopher Wheel, the German spelling, I would perform as Christopher Wheel, and then if anyone introduced me, it would be Weil. Or if they put it in a flyer, it would be Weihl or Whiel. Like they knew there were some letters in there. They knew there were letters. There's some sort of letter combination, and it would just get mixed up. So, about like, I don't know, maybe like 10 years ago, after many a flyer was put out with my wrong name or a lot of mispronunciations from DJs or whatever, I said, I'm just going to go Chris Whiel. So a lot of my performance stuff is under Chris Wheel, Whiel. So that's why I changed it. However, it has a second effect because it's both phonetically the same, Chris Wheel, Chris Wheel. But if you want to find any of my magic products, any of my things that I've put out over the years, if you search Christopher Wiehl, it'll pop up. So when people are searching Chris Wheel, Whiel, they won't find all the fun, the fun products that are out there with, explaining how I do some of these tricks. So it's kind of the Patrick Redford effect.
Got it.
So if you don't know who that is, but
who carries your effects so people know where to go?
Yeah, so Vanishing Ink carries a bunch of stuff. Penguin carries a bunch of stuff. Anywhere that kind of sells like Murphy's products will hold some stuff. I've got a couple downloads. If you go on Penguin and just type in my name, I did a series for a while called the Wheel Free Downloads.
Nice.
Wheel good magic, magic is wheel, all that. And I had a couple projects on there that were kind of interesting. Again, this was years ago, so I thought they were like, some of these ideas I thought were really great, but they looking back on them, they're not. But I do have a really good karate coin download.
Oh, okay. I love karate coins.
So this breaks down a couple different presentations of like how to do just like the basic karate coin, but the main thing is it teaches you how to make your own. And like a really good way to do it, that like, because I'll just make a bunch of them and I can hand them out at the end. Because I've always felt like if you had to buy a karate coin, and making one is kind of hard, but what I show on the video is like the easiest thing. Like it costs a little bit of money, but not much.
No, that's worth it. That's worth it for the download. Yeah.
So I like that project a lot. I don't know. I have some stuff in like, I think Janie magazine, a couple tricks in there that if you're a subscriber, you can look for me in there. I don't remember which ones I'm in. I teach a real neat card control. That's a really fun one. That's called No Camouflage. That's a really, really fun control. I'll show you that later.
Very cool.
And then, but on like TikTok, I have some TikTok stuff. I do some Instagram. My website right here, chriswheel.com. And that's kind of just like a good way to get a hold of me if you want to talk about magic stuff, because sometimes Facebook and Instagram, I don't always get the info for that. But if you email me at chriswheel.com or magic,
you have a lot of faith in my editing skills. Thanks so much for coming on the show, Chris Wheel, and thanks to our listeners. Remember to like, subscribe, and ring the bell so you never miss an update. Follow the show on Apple Podcasts, Spotify, and leave a review. It's easy to do, it costs nothing, and it helps a lot. So remember to send in questions to our Facebook page as well. Thank you so much for your support, and remember, magic is for everyone.